This lesson will explain how to use technology, aka a calculator, to calculate quotients, so the answer to a division problem, and then once you get the answer in the calculator, to be able to round it off properly. Let's have a look at this question. So we have 489 and 7/10 divided by 1700ths. So I'd never ask you to calculate this on your own. I would definitely get you to use technology or a calculator to help figure out the answer. So once you use the calculator and you put your numbers in properly and ask yourself if your answer makes sense, you will see this. Big long number. Now, depending on what the question asks, normally we round it off to the nearest tenth, so that's one place after the decimal, or to the nearest hundredth, which is two places after the decimal. So let's say we wanted to round it off to the nearest hundredth place, so two places after the decimal. As you can see here, two places after the decimal is 58 hundredths. Now, the only thing that we need to look for when we need to figure out whether or not it's going to stay 58 hundredths or turn to 59 hundredths is the place value directly behind. So if the number directly behind the last number you want to use is 5 or bigger, so 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, it's going to bump up your number. If it's smaller than 5, so 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0, your number is going to stay the same. So in this case, our answer is going to be, because we looked at the 8 here, 2,880 and 59 hundredths, because the 8 is going to make the 58 hundredths bump up to 59 hundredths. Let's say, however, the question asks you to round it off to the nearest tenth place. That means one place after the decimal. So one place after the decimal here is 5/10. So in order to know if it's going to stay 5/10 or bump up to 6/10, we look at the number directly behind it. And again, because in this case the number is bigger than 5, it's an 8, our answer becomes 2,880 and 6/10. Let's suppose we calculated another quotient on the calculator, and this is the number that came up. If we were rounding off to the nearest tenth, which means one place after the decimal, we need to look at the number directly behind it to figure out if it's going to stay 9 or bump up to a 10. So in this case, because it's a 5 behind the 9, our 9 is going to bump up to 10/10. And we know that 10/10 equals 1 whole. So instead of this answer being 67 and 9/10, it's actually going to bump up 1 whole place to 68 and 0/10. Let's suppose we had this number here and we wanted to round off to the nearest hundredths place. So we wanted to have two places after the decimal. All we have to look at is the number directly behind the last place value we want. In this case, it's a 1, which means our 95 hundredths is actually going to stay the same. So our final answer will be 4 and 95 hundredths. Let's have a look at this example. If we wanted to do one place after the decimal here, so to the nearest tenths place, we're looking at the tenths place, and we'll notice again that there's a 9, and we'll notice that back here there seems to be big numbers, 9 and 8, but guess what? Those numbers don't matter at all. All I have to look for is the number directly behind the tenths place, which happens to be a 1, and we know that if that were a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4, it's still going to be the same. It's going to stay 9. So our final answer to the nearest tenths place is going to be 52 and 9/10. Now suppose we wanted to round it off to the nearest hundredths place. So that's two places after the decimal. Again, we just have to look at the number directly behind the hundredths place. In this case, it's still a 1, so if we're rounding it off to the nearest hundredths place, so 2 places after the decimal, our answer would be 52 and 91 hundredths.